What's up everybody, I'm Trap, and I love talking about movies. Today, we're getting into Until Dawn, a movie about grief, survival, and the value of friendship, which really shines through when you're debating who should die first. Let's do this. So Until Dawn was released in 2025, and it was directed by David F. Sandberg, who also directed Lights Out and Annabelle Creation, and it was written by Gary Dauberman and Blair Butler. So the story follows a group of young adults out searching for our lead character's missing sister, and they wind up at an old, abandoned welcome center thing. Strange things start immediately happening, and it turns into a fight for survival as escalating horrors try to prevent their one goal: survive until dawn. So let's get right into this. The good stuff. So let me preface this by saying I have not played the video game, so I can't speak to that. I understand they didn't exactly adapt the source material here. I would love to play the game, but I am broke and I barely have the time to even do these videos. Also, obviously, these are just my opinions. Remember kids, art is subjective. So this movie has a pretty awesome idea here to lay the foundation for what could be an instant classic. The characters find themselves trapped in this Groundhog's Day style time loop, trying to survive the night over and over again. The issue is the antagonist or threat keeps changing every time, so it keeps them on their feet trying to find a way to survive each time. With this, we get a pretty clever genre mashup, playing with classic slasher tropes, supernatural elements, psychological thriller elements, and even some body horror. Sandberg did a really good job with the atmosphere here, capturing that cabin in the woods feel without technically being in a cabin in the woods. I feel the cast performed pretty well here. They sell the fear convincingly, but there's nothing really to shout out about. I'd say the pacing in the first half of the movie was done really well. It kept me interested enough to want to figure out what this is and why it's happening. There were also a few creative deaths, nice effects, and even a part that had my stomach turning a little bit. And now, the bad stuff. I think first and foremost, the thing that primarily brings this movie down for me, unfortunately, is the characters. Like I said, no one did a bad or unbelievable job by any means. It's just the material they were given to work with. Some of the dialogue is pretty cringeworthy, to be honest, and I just don't care about any of these characters. We're given a really generic setup for the plot, little to no backstory, and not one of these characters are really likable. In these types of films, there's always one or two characters you're kind of intended not to enjoy, so that when they get killed off, it makes you happy, or maybe they go through some kind of change so that you do enjoy them, so that when their inevitable death comes, it impacts you more. But here, I didn't really care if any of these characters made it through or not. I was really just interested in continuing watching to see what crazy threat would happen next. Which brings me to my next negative, which is that this movie really had such a green light to go super hard regarding introducing any kind of threat or any amount of threats, and I feel like just when it was starting to get exciting and interesting, it just kind of stopped. I don't think anything that we got was bad, it just feel like it could have been so much more. It's not very often a movie gets this kind of opportunity, so I guess I was just kind of hoping they would run with it a bit more. The final act leans into some editing choices that felt a little clunky. Instead of raising the stakes, it kind of just made me more aware of the cuts themselves. And the final exposition wasn't really a rewarding payoff for me. It wasn't bad or anything, but I was actually left kind of confused about a pretty big aspect to the story, and it just felt a little bit rushed. So overall, I did have some fun watching this movie. I think most horror fans will get a kick out of at least a portion of it, as it has a little bit of something for most people, regardless of your subgenre tastes. I wasn't very satisfied with the conclusion, but it wasn't horrible by any means. I would say yes, I'm glad I watched it, and I think you should too. But I'm going to give this movie a 2.75 out of 5. Primarily for the fact that the characters really did nothing for me, which made the movie less impactful, and I really don't have a desire to watch it a second time. But hey, that's just me. What did you think about Until Dawn? Was it wacky enough just to work for you? Do you love the game enough to where you hate the film's approach? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. I'd love to chat about this. If you're new here, welcome. If you enjoyed this, please like, please subscribe. It would really help this brand new channel grow. I'd really appreciate it. Alright, from here on out, I'm getting into spoiler territory, so there's your warning. If you haven't seen this movie, now's your chance to tap out, go check out the movie, come back and see my more in-depth thoughts. For the rest of us, let's do this. So I went into this movie pretty blind. I knew it was a game, but I had never looked into it before. I thought the initial scene where they're driving through the storm was really intense and captivating, and by the time they get into the kind of eye of the storm scenario at that building, I was all in. All of the initial reveals we get when they're first exploring that building before the hourglass turns the first time were super engaging, I thought. I love the missing posters with no data, it's just super eerie. Finding out that the building is half buried underground with windows and front doors down there really ups the curiosity and wanting to figure out what in the world is going on here. So I thought the initial slasher villain that we get was interesting enough, nothing crazy there, but enough to keep me interested. In my opinion, the strange appearance of this new building across the way and that entire witch scene was totally captivating. The feeling and the atmosphere in there was super scary, and seeing all those masks and everything, similar to what the slasher killer was wearing, starts bringing in more of a connection to what's going on here, and it makes you want to figure things out that much more. The witch looked pretty good too, and then it was just kind of over. I would have loved to have seen more than that. So after that first building appears, and then we see the water tower appear, it's kind of a heavy foreshadowing. When they're up there in the bathroom and they start drinking the water, you immediately know something crazy is going to happen. But I truly did not expect what did happen. The spontaneous combustion was so out there and so hilarious. Seeing Megan crawling on the ground and getting it one limb at a time was actually gut-wrenching for me, and I could really feel that scene. I thought that played out really well. However, the timing of this water affecting each person was kind of all over the place. So maybe Abe drank more and he drank it first, so he got it first. But this effect also comes into play later on in the movie 2 more times. And sometimes they just blow up right away. Sometimes it takes longer. Kind of weird, but still a cool effect. But this is really where my expectations and my wonder really started going off the rails. Like, if they're doing this, what's coming next? And it just sort of stops. Like, we get these Wendigo characters in the third act of the film, which were okay. They didn't really captivate me all that much. We catch glimpses of some really cool things throughout, like the silhouette of the big monster when they try to escape through the storm, and that really weird, creepy ghost figure on the guy's cell phone recordings. But they're just little peeks into what could have, and in my opinion, what should have been highlighted more. On that phone recording note, the movie drops a big time gap on us where multiple nights have passed, and I suspect this was done to keep us on board with their loss of memory and confusion, and it ties into the guy pulling out his phone to look at the recordings really well. But to me, it just kind of felt like we were rushing into the ending, so that was kind of a big disappointment for me. When we get into the final underground kind of chase sequence near the end of the film, started seeing some weird cuts in there that kind of took me out of the moment. Like, it'll show them from behind all running, and then from the front, and then from behind again, over like way too many times. It just started getting distracting, and that's where it really started feeling rushed to me. Finally, we get into the big exposition of the movie with Peter Stormare. The info we were given is interesting, but I was left wondering after the film concluded, how did he even do any of this? Like, they weren't strapped into some kind of mind-reading device or anything like that. Is this sunken city just haunted and magical from all the people that died there years before? I don't know. Maybe I missed something crucial, but if I did, it had to have been really quick and not clear. So after watching the movie, I kind of looked into the basic plot of the game briefly to see what the differences were. And it looks like they're using this movie as kind of a prequel to the story in the game. I'm not 100% sure there, but that's what it felt like with quick little things we get at the end of the movie. And I saw that in that game, Peter Stormare also plays a character. I'm assuming this same one. If not, that would be weird and off-putting. But that dude got blown to bits at the end of this movie. So is he supernatural in some way as well? I don't know. So yeah, if I'm truly missing something here, please drop your knowledge in the comments, because after this movie was over, I was just wondering, and not the good type of wondering where you're up at night trying to analyze this movie and find alternative meanings and such. More of just like, what the hell did I just watch? So yeah, fun movie, a good one-time watch, but I'll probably never watch it again. But alright, that's all I got. Thanks for watching, and again, if you enjoyed this, Please like and subscribe. It would really help me out. I'd appreciate it. And please let me know what you guys thought about this movie down in the comments. Sometimes all I need is an outside opinion or perspective, and I actually tend to enjoy movies more. So maybe you can help me like this movie better. And remember, if you're getting directions from some creepy gas station clerk out in the middle of nowhere, drive the other way. See you guys next time.